When these two teams last met in competitive action, most of the country was at home watching their TV, studying the results of the general election. It was that weekend. It was a great game here in the league, won by Dublin by a point, and 23 members of the teams that played that night are starting here in this final. And the only goal that beat Stephen Cluxton then came from a penalty. All summer he's continued to be among the country's very best. Mick Fitzsimons is the only link with the full back line from that match. Now he has Rory O'Carroll and Cian O'Sullivan alongside him. Today's half back line is marshalled by Ger Brennan, with James McCarthy and Kevin Nolan playing out wide. Dennis Bastick and Michael Darragh Macaulay are partnered in the middle of the field for the third game in a row. Paul Flynn's injured hamstring was the main concern at half forward, but he starts alongside Barry Cahill and Brian Cullen, while Dublin's prime attackers continue to be the two Brogans and Diarmuid Connolly. 1 goal and 44 points between them so far this season. Time to hear from Martin Carney. Who are you focusing on, Martin?
Well, I'd like to focus today, Ger, on Stephen Cluxton. Like, since making his debut against Longford in 2001, he's grown into a goalkeeper who is assured, who is confident, and who commands his area. Now, add to that, he can accurately ping his kickouts to his halfbacks with great distinction. And along with that, he averages 2 points a game. And, if you're looking for a person to inspire Dublin today, in particular with a very young full-back line in front of him, Stephen Cluxton's the man to look to.
He's Dublin's number one. As to the Kingdom, just 3 members of the Kerry team have never played in an All-Ireland senior final, including goalkeeper Brendan Keeley, who's from Kilcommon. Killian Young is appropriately enough the babe of the full back line, with Mark O'Shea playing an 8th final and Tom O'Sullivan a 10th final match. That includes the replay in 2000. It's ditto for Tomas O'Shea, who lines up on the half-back line with Owen Brosnan and Aidan O'Mahony. Brosnan's injured ankle has cleared up. Anthony Marr and Brian Sheehan joined forces in midfield for the 5th successive game. With Paul Galvin held in reserve, it's as you were in the next line, with Donegal Walsh joining Darren and Declan O'Sullivan. While the full forward line features the tall figure of Kieran Donaghy in the company of skipper Colm Cooper and newcomer Kieran O'Leary. Martin, your thoughts?
Well, I think, Jared, must be a source of great reassurance to Kerry to know that they have a player of Colm Cooper's calibre in their team. Apart from his skills and his finishing ability, he possesses a wonderful big match temperament. He has won 4 All-Irelands, Ger, and in those 4 All-Irelands he has scored 3 goals and 18 points. So the hope and the challenge for Kerry today is to get him on the ball as often as possible, and the dilemma for Dublin is how will they curtail his influence. If he sparkles, Ger, I'm convinced Kerry will win.
Colm Cooper, Kerry's captain. Well, there's been many a slip along the way, of course, but the stage is now set for a first All-Ireland football final between Munster and Leinster counties for all of 12 years. Michael.
Another blanket defence.
Yeah, back to Ger and Martin again in a little while. Right now we're going to take a little look closer at these two teams and some of the things to watch out for in today's match. And one of the things we want to watch out for, Colin O'Rourke, is you want to talk about the Kerry hand passing game and this aspect of their play.
Yeah, well, we often talk here and give out a little bit about sort of hand passing polluting the game, but Kerry use the hand pass generally going forward, and they hold the ball and they get a player into space, and oftentimes with packed defence, well, of course Cork didn't employ that, and you can see there all the space around Cooper, like it was like a practice match in the first half of this game. But against Mayo, I thought it was demonstrated. Mayo defended in numbers, and so Kerry didn't kick the ball in, they just hand passed the ball forward. And what they have, which is different from a lot of other teams, is if it comes to it, their half-backs can move up and kick points. I think 4 or 5 of the points that they kicked at the beginning against Mayo were very difficult points from sort of 45 metres. So if Dublin retreat back to the 40-metre line, and say to Kerry, kick the ball, they certainly will, and they'll kick it over the bar. So Dublin have to defend a little bit farther out than they would against most normal teams.
We've been talking, Pat, about the Dublin defending and about what Pat Gilroy has done here, but you also wanted to talk about Dublin up the other end of the field.
Well, the Dublin's defence has been the key to Dublin reaching the All-Ireland final, but their forward line have much improved as a unit, and I think in particular their half-forward line. Again, they're tracking back and they're working hard in defence, their half-forward line, but this year I feel they're getting forward more and they're getting to the end of attacks. Now we see here Alan Brogan, who is now, when he was playing in the half-forward line, he certainly increased the scoring threat of the half-forward line. But the other 2 players, you look at Brian Cullen, who will be lining out today, has scored a point in every match, and this is a good, nice point. But I think the most improved player they have on the team is the wing forward Paul Flynn. This is tremendous. against Kildare, where he dispossessed, I think, to Gary White and ran on to the end of the attack again and scored. He scored 1-4. Now, Dublin as a unit, I think they're playing better as a unit. They're not dependent as much. But the key to the half-hour line today, they will now have to up their scoring rate. But more importantly, and it alluded to what Colm alluded to, if they're going to play too deep in a defensive role and invite the Kerry half-backs to attack, the Owen Brossons and the Tomás O'Shea's will punish them. So they need to be even more forward orientated today, and they need to contribute more on the score sheet.
You've been looking at one of the matchups in this game, Joe, that you I think will happen to be significant. Bernard Brogan and Mark O'Shea.
I think it's the key thing, because Dublin have so few scorers and they're heavily dependent when it comes to it on Bernard. They need Kerry to leave Mark O'Shea one-on-one against him today. Now, Kerry have done it all season. They left Mark to sink or swim against Andy Moran. Andy Moran had 3 clear goal chances. Now, a player who's as predatorial as Bernard will stick those in the net. Dublin need a couple of goals, and I think that it would astonish me if Kerry don't play a sweeper today, because don't forget, the Dublin half-forward line is going to retreat into its defence very quickly, and there's going to be at least one half-back who's at all times available to sweep. Whether they'll do it or not, I don't know, but the rumour coming out of the Kingdom is that they are going to play more defensively today than they have ever done in the final.
You can rest assured that whatever Kerry will do today, they will not be introducing a sweeper, because like Kilkenny, like Cody, Jack O'Connor will instill the belief into his players that they can do a man-marking job. They will do 3 man-marking jobs. Mark O'Shea will pick up Bernard Brogan. He did a superb man-marking job in the league.
Yes, he did.
Bernard got 1 score from playing the last kick of the game. He'll put Killian Young on Alan Brogan, and he'll put Tom O'Sullivan on Diarmuid Connolly and the rest. Will there be a sweeper? Not a hope in hell.
Diarmuid Connolly, in the quarter-final against Tyrone, scored for fun off both feet.
Yes.
Quiet against Donegal because obviously the system was different.
Well, everything he touched turned to gold against Tyrone. But I thought in the game against Donegal, he looked as if he was losing the cool a bit even long before he was sent off in that game. And, you know, any flaw in a player's temperament is exposed big time on a day like this today. So I hope Connolly has learned from that, because if he hasn't, he will become very, very soon detached from the play. It's going to be a big test for him now, mentally as much as physically.
You couldn't take anything out of the Donegal game, though. I mean, I was talking to Van Larkin outside, and he said to me, how many Donegal All-Stars do you think there'd be? And I said, I think that 13 Donegal players should share the right back.
Well, I think there's I would agree in a sense, but I think nothing is farther from the truth that Dublin haven't learned from Donegal. I think it has given them a massive boost in confidence, that they went to the wire in a game where they were struggling and got over the line, something they weren't able to manage to do, remember, in almost every important game.
It did a system that Donegal refused to attack.
But you look at Dublin's defensive system, since the day they conceded that 5 goals against Meath, in the 10 championship matches they've played since then, they've conceded 4 goals. They've conceded 2 goals in this year's championship. I mean, they have learned defensively.
Not too much you can do about it now, Colm.
No, but the big test will be, can they hold Gooch? Can they hold Declan O'Sullivan? Can they hold... no team has been really able to do it, with the possible exception of Tyrone for the last 5 or 6 years. Can they hold Donaghy, who hasn't been going well this year? If he sparks to life today, well then, he'll cause massive problems. But, it's a great test, and every player has to get to this stage in their career at some stage, and then they'll find out, have they got it within themselves to show themselves as a great player on the All-Ireland Day.
Jacko doing a bit of feeling. Jack O'Connor there, catching the ball pass, so maybe he's fancying himself to have a go at this. He's been, as I said earlier on the programme, 2 stints as Kerry manager, produced All-Irelands on both occasions. Yeah,
I mean, and if he delivers an All-Ireland title to Kerry today, he'll rank up there with the greatest of all managers, and he came in at... his greatest achievement, I think, is that he's managed to keep these guys so focused, for years. Because some of these guys would be, they'd enjoy life, and discipline might be a problem with them at times. He's kept them very disciplined, he's kept them very focused, he's kept them very fresh. And this year, the big addition this year is he's brought Donny Buckley, who was the coach to Limerick, into the training setup, and the players are all saying how fresh the approach to training is. Buckley is brilliant, his drills are magnificent, he's brilliant in defensive and in his tackling drills. He's a guy who thinks outside the box, and Kerry this year, like I said, are a lot more focused. Last year they were cranky last year. They were worried about the Sunday game and the CCs, TVs, and everyone was wronging them. This year they're focused, they're fitter, they're more determined, and they want to finish on a high.
And also, that's an important point about the backroom team, because we're inclined to talk, the media are inclined to talk about the managers. Pat Gilroy will be a great fellow, Dublin win, Jack, and so forth. it's the backroom team that's critical.
Yeah, it's a huge team effort. Like, the manager is the general, and then he has all the soldiers underneath him. I suppose the backroom team is to probably 20 in both counties, you know, because you have all the different people who have specialist role. And, you know, people sometimes laugh at this, but to win in All-Ireland anymore, or to get to a high level, you must have all of these people who know their role and do it. The great thing what Pat Gilroy has done with the Dublin backroom team is they seem to melt away and nobody notices them, whereas they were very high profile before.
Sure. Well, as we can see, the teams are beginning to line up because the President of Ireland is due out in a moment's time. Find little encouragements to the players. We saw earlier on there Brian Cullen, who was the Dublin captain, involved the toss with Colin Cooper. We're not quite sure what way that toss went. Great occasion for him and his club as well. Obviously, Skerry's Harps, which is a small club. However, the President of Ireland, Mary McAleese, she attends the All-Ireland final today for the last time in her capacity as Uachtaráin na hÉireann, accompanied by Uachtaráin Cumann Núicléas Scale, Christy Cody.
Yes, time now for the formal introductions, now inextricably woven, I suppose, into the tapestry of All-Ireland final day. Her Excellency President McAleese, accompanied by Uachtaráin Cumann Núicléas Scale, 82,000 people at Croke Park. So the respective presidents, both in their final terms of office, going across to meet the Dublin captain first of all, Brian Cullen from Skerry's, first Dublin captain since John O'Leary to do the honours on All-Ireland final day itself. Ger Brennan there, who'll be number 6. Kevin Nolan, the midfielders Dennis Bastick and Michael Dara McCauley. Paul Flynn, about whom there was a doubt, of course. There's Alan Brogan. Diarmuid Connolly, who got that reprieve from would-be suspension. And finally Bernard Brogan, last year's Footballer of the Year. The referee today, by the way, is Joe McQuillan from Cavan. Linesmen are David Coldrick from Meath and Pat McEnany from Monaghan. The sideline official is Maurice Condon from Waterford. There he is being introduced. And Joe McQuillan's umpires today: Tommy O'Reilly, Kieran Brady, T.P. Gray and Jimmy Galligan. Big day for all of them as well. And Kerry now, the Colin Cooper, known as the Gooch, and first called that by schoolboy friend Peter O'Brien, later Croke's goalkeeper. So he introduces his colleagues. Kerry playing an 8th All-Ireland final in 10 years. Aidan O'Mahony there. Down to Brian Sheehan. Declan O'Sullivan, such a terrific footballer. Donica Walsh, left down forward. Big Kieran Donaghy, all 6'6" of him. And Kieran O'Leary finally there from Dr. Croke's. And that completes the introductions, and barring a replay, it's President McAleese's last time to participate in this ceremony. So with her husband Martin, both of them huge sports fans, they can settle back now with us and enjoy the talents on offer as Dublin and Kerry do battle for the Sam Maguire Cup in this, the 122nd All-Ireland football final. The most prized possession for any team to win in Gaelic football.
So then the anxious faces of Pat Gilroy and Jack O'Connor. As you saw, as the President was meeting the teams there, the umbrella protecting you from the drizzle that we have here now at Croke Park. Hasn't turned out to be the best of days for this final, but nonetheless, we're looking forward to what we hope, Colin, is going to be a good game of football for the neutrals.
Well, we hope for that. I suppose both sides don't care what sort of a game it is, so long as they're ahead at the long whistle. And it's much easier to make the case for Kerry. I think they have tradition, they have experience, they have the skill, they have some of the greatest players that ever played on their side. So it's easy to make the case for them. But, you know, it's up to everybody and every team to turn the page of history in favour of themselves. And I think that Dublin have a team that are now capable of doing that. So, you know, maybe I'm going against the odds here, but I think Dublin are going to win.
Colin thinks Dublin are going to win. Pat, Kerry have turned a number of pages of history down through the years. Is there another one today?
I think so. I fancy Kerry for two reasons. One, their experience. They're in their 8 All-Ireland final 10 years. These boys have been there and done that. And the down players, I was reading a few articles during the week how they said nothing, no matter what preparation they made for, nothing prepared them for last year's All-Ireland final. It's a big occasion, but I think the key element today is forward line. Kerry have been averaging 23 points without hitting top 4. Dublin have been averaging 16 points a game. I just believe Kerry have 3 or 4 of the best attackers in the game in there, and each one of them, the one thing about Kerry is that you can have plan A to stop Gooch and Donaghy, and the 3 boys then outside in the half-hour line rematch with us. So Kerry's experience and forward to tip them in what I think will be a close game, but I think it'll also be a great game of football.
The Derry team that you played on in 1993, Joe, has sort of got rid of all that notion that you had to lose one to win one, but you came and won it on the day.
Yeah, well,
that's what Dublin have to do today.
That's right. It's a different world. Like, Dublin are a very hard-edged, very modern team. Ferocious in the tackle. They won't be like Mayo. They'll press up the pitch and retreat gradually into the defence. So it's going to be difficult for Kerry to break down. Dublin have to smash and destroy and just keep doing what they've been doing. Last week, whenever that guy Andy Murray was playing Nadal, he kept saying to himself, "You know how to beat this guy. Come on, you know how to beat him." As he was slumping. The last thing Dublin want to be doing is thinking about this game. The big thing, I said this before, that the Tyrone boys did, they forgot about Kerry. They just went for it. And that's what the Dubs need to do today. They're ready to do it, I think. They just need to go out and go for it. If they don't do that, if they have a fear factor of Kerry of an All-Ireland final, they will lose. Aside from that, I think they have a great chance.
So then, who is going to claim the All-Ireland football title of 2011? Is it Kerry for a 37th time or Dublin for the first time since 1995? It's time to find out. So it's back to the commentary box to hear from Ger Canning and Martin Carney.
Michael, after 60 matches this summer with the usual mix of good, bad and moderate, it's come down to a meeting of the serial winners from Munster and these young pretenders from the capital. Will Kerry's experience and quality see them justify favouritism, or will Dublin turn them over in a final for the first time in 3.5 decades? So much has changed since Dublin last beat Kerry to take Sam Maguire. It was a different world way back then. Liam Cosgrave was the Taoiseach. Nadia Comaneci won 3 Olympic gold medals in Montreal. ABBA topped the charts with Dancing Queen. The price of an All-Ireland final ticket would have set you back a fiver, and the price of the humble pint was the equivalent of 48 cents in today's money. It was 1970, and today Dublin set out to write a new page in history. Tomas O'Shea and the rest of the Kerry team hoping to stymie them. 35 years on, Martin Carney, I suppose for Dublin, it's about rising to the challenge and not getting bogged down by the occasion.
Well, very much so, Jerv. They have to be relentless from the word go, but in saying that, they must be very solid at the back. I mean, they're going to be at different times during the game, put under a lot of pressure, and it's critical that they do realise that there will be times when there will be situations where they'll have to rise to. I believe myself that they will bring their half forwards back into a defensive situation. Ger Brennan will come back in front of his full back line, and they will hope that up front the likes of Bernard Brogan, Diarmuid Connolly and Alan Brogan, obviously, who'll probably be playing at centre forward, will get sufficient scores from them. But as against that, Kerry to me have been around the block so often. Their experience of big match days is just amazing. Their 8th final in 10 years, and with the likes of Colm Cooper, Declan Sullivan, Darren Sullivan in the forward line, I just think that they'll have too much talent, and that experience will tilt the balance in their favour.
Light mist still falling down at Croke Park. Wonderful sense of occasion. It's about desire, isn't it? Teams coming from contrasting positions in terms of recent tradition. You think back to the quarter-final of 2 years ago. What a journey Dublin have taken since then. Kerry have come back. They won that All-Ireland. It was their last one, 2009. Will they win in 2011? It's time for the anthem at Croke Park. day for the blue and navy as they face the green and gold of Kerry. No place for excuses on today's menu. It's time to stand up and show that you're football's best in the match that matters most this year. To be handled by Joe McQuillan from Cavan, his first All-Ireland final. Dublin won the toss and they're playing from left to right in the first half. Middle of the park, straight away Kieran Donaghy goes in there, something which I'm sure Pat Gilroy will have noted. Donaghy always does that for the throw in. Big number 14, little tap down he's got in the second half of the Munster final at the beginning of the second half resulted in a Kerry point, and a point might be so vital at the very end of 70 minutes here. 122nd All-Ireland final gets underway, and it's Kerry who take the possession. Anthony Marr losing it, stolen from him by Michael Dara-McCauley, linking up here with James McCarthy. Held on to well in there by Diarmuid Connolly. Slippery conditions, back towards Paul Flynn from 45 metres out. Has Alan Brogan going in there pursuing that one. In there as well was Killian Young, and the umpire has waved it wide. The umpire down there is Jimmy Galligan. Just have a look at this again here to see who did get the final touch. Hard to tell.
Hard to tell from that one, but Alan Brogan was disappointed that the decision didn't go his way.
Brendan Keeley ready to kick this one, his first kick out. And it'll be interesting to see how both sets of players attack the goalkeeper's kick-outs in this match. Probably more so than normally is the case. Kerry hold on to it here. Owen Brosnan, about whom there was a concern, sends it neatly down to Donncha Walsh. James McCarthy slow in getting back to him. Donncha Walsh leaving it off to Darren O'Sullivan. This man has got tremendous speed inside here, and it's Fisty. Declan O'Sullivan credited with the opening point of the match. Wonderful assist pass. Swift move by Kerry. Lovely coordination here. Darren O'Sullivan sending it into Declan O'Sullivan, and a brilliant score by Kerry.
And it all stemmed from Kieran Donaghy winning a ball out around the middle of the field. Donaghy is at midfield, Declan O'Sullivan is full forward, and Darren O'Sullivan is playing at centre half forward.
Which was anticipated that he would run at Cher Brennan from that kick out. It's taken once again by Kerry. This time Anthony Marr needing a second touch. Off to Darren O'Sullivan. Quick look up then, and Kerry just hold the possession. O'Sullivan once again, while he was looking for Kieran O'Leary, finding instead Cian O'Sullivan. By the way, Cian O'Sullivan and Vic Fitzsimons have switched their numbers, switched their jerseys. So Fitzsimons is 2, Sullivan is 4, and not as they were programmed. That's something that happened also when the teams met here in the league at the end of February. Same two, well not same two, Alan Hubbard was one of the quarterbacks, Mitch Fitzsimons was the other one that night, and they also switched their jerseys. Not quite sure if it's a superstition. Here's Mark O'Shea to his brother Tomas. Held on to by Anthony Marr, his third possession in this final. Look where Kieran Donaghy's come. They leave 3 inside. Need to get the ball in. Donaghy holds it. Pat McEnany, the linesman, had a look at it, so the ball was still in play. Down towards Declan O'Sullivan. Rory O'Carroll going across there to try and keep him out on the margins. O'Sullivan got by, dished it back. Darren O'Sullivan held on to here by Brian Sheehan. Beautiful ball into Owen Brosnan, used to play on the half forwards, lost it. Great recovery challenge that time. Cian O'Sullivan got in. Back up as far as Alan Brogan. Dublin trying to mount a meaningful attack. Beautifully in as far as Diarmuid Connolly, kicking it off the left. Oh, well taken down by Brendan Keeley. Many another goalkeeper might have given up on that one and tapped it over the bar for security purposes. Tomas O'Shea, slack marking. Donncha Walsh picks it up again. 65 metres out from the Kerry goal, pursued there by Brian Cullen. Still holds it. One man to aim at. Down there it's Declan O'Sullivan. Lost it. Taken by Brian Cullen. Fed back here as far as Cian O'Sullivan once more. Lobbed as far as Dennis Bastick. Now Michael Dara-McCauley, the Ballyboden St Enda's player. Getting himself into difficulty there momentarily was Paul Flynn. Now James McCarthy striding forward purposefully. 3 Kerry men go to him. Weight of numbers counted there. Good fast start to the match.
Great ebb and flow to it altogether, Gerard. That time, I think it was James McCarthy got forward, but 3 Kerry players around him. Brosnan has got forward on a couple of occasions, lost the ball. What is noticed is that players who are hopping the ball's running away from them on the slippy surface.
James McCarthy. Forward as far as Alan Brogan here, trying to cut inside onto his left. And he's dragged that one. Misdirecting his first shot off the target. Kerry still leading by a point to no score in the 5th minute.
Yeah, this is a ball in, and Brendan Keeley, who is suspect on a high ball, did very well on that and prevented the ball going over the bar.
Kerry going again, Tomas O'Shea. He's got lots of space, he can carry it another 20 metres. Opting to fist it inside towards his captain. Cooper takes it well. Back in here towards Kieran O'Leary, back to Cooper. Runs into Fitzsimons, blocks his route to go. Difficulty there for O'Leary getting it up. Goes to Darren O'Sullivan instead, former captain. Out as far as Brian Sheehan, looking for latitude. 2 men after him, one of them Ger Brennan. And Brennan did enough, I think, just to put the pressure on him and force it left of the posts.
Yeah, that's great scramble defence by the Dublin team that time. And once again, Paul Flynn got in the tackle.
Interesting that all this while, Kieran Donaghy's operating around the middle of the park. This time, watching as Anthony Marr was fouled. Free kick to be taken by the 24-year-old from Duois into Kieran O'Leary. Doesn't play an orthodox left corner forward spot, tends to come out around the half-backs, makes angles for others. This is Michael Dara McCauley. Dublin need to hold on to the ball and start getting a few attacks together. Fitzsimons, about whom there was also a suspicion that he mightn't start the match because of a rumoured injury. Ger Brennan almost plays the libero role in the half-back line. James McCarthy now, second time to get forward. Booted in towards Connolly. Connolly was slipping, taken in by his marker, Tom O'Sullivan instead. Wily old fox. Anthony Marr, back to Mark O'Shea. Tomas. Here's Donaghy. Moving forward out of half-back. And Kerry just hold possession. Owen Brosnan again. Kerry showing the maturity that comes from playing in all these All-Ireland finals over the years. Dublin have made an uncertain start. Here's Donica Walsh looking for another one. Put under pressure, Cluxton comes, got a fist on it. Out towards Fitzsimons. In the end, gathered in there by Barry Cahill. Swept across to Paul Flynn here. They'll be expecting a big performance from the Fingolians player. And that ball's gone out on the sideline. Cluxton did well here.
Very well, came out very assured under the high ball that time. In fairness, O'Leary isn't the tallest of players, but was very decisive in getting the ball away.
Oh, Tom O'Sullivan almost got himself into difficulty there, doing his soloing out of defence. Instead it's Tomas O'Shea. 77th championship match today. Hard to buy that kind of experience. Into Cooper. Dished off again towards O'Leary. On as far as Darren O'Sullivan steps away from Ger Brennan's challenge. Kerry hold it with assurance. Lobbed in there. Declan O'Sullivan is the menacing figure at full forward. Touchdown here. And as Donica Walsh was coming onto it, couldn't quite get it under control. But there are so many Kerry options in attack.
Yeah, that was dangerous at that time, but very good scrambling defence once again by the Dublin lads in the full back line. In very quickly, anticipated the danger and forced Walsh to put the ball wide.
Well, Kerry have had the lion's share of it in the opening 8 minutes of this match, but only a point to show. Cluxton's kick out, usually very precise. He goes long this time. Brian Sheehan there jumping with Michael Dara McCauley, and trying to pick up the pieces was Kieran Donaghy, was fouled by Bastick. Free kick quickly taken, in as far as Declan O'Sullivan, drifting away from Rory O'Carroll. He could cause this young fullback a lot of problems. Still touched on the ground, I think. Yes, it was. Free out.
O'Carroll's having a great tussle at the moment with Declan O'Sullivan. He's sticking to his task very well, putting pressure on Declan O'Sullivan that time, who did touch the ball on the ground, and the referee Joe McQuillan gave the correct decision. Rory
O'Carroll, the fullback today, only 21 years of age. Great prospect. Goes short Dublin to Alan Brogan. Aidan O'Mahony trying to cut it out, going after it himself, rather scrambling after it. Barry Cahill out over the sideline. Line ball to Kerry. And a shoulder for afters as well for Cahill's trouble from the number 7 from Rathmore.
Yeah, Aidan O'Mahony in with the shoulder that time on Barry Cahill, forced the ball out over the line. Just giving him a second greeting there to remind him that he's around.
Time to remind Kerry are not going to be taken for granted, and that ball was scrambled for there by Owen Brosnan on the ground. Boot went out, and the referee signals that it's got to be a free kick. And the man who's going to take it will be Stephen Cluxton, who's got 10 points already in this year's championship to go with 5 he's got already in his career. He's 4th highest scorer for Dublin in this year's championship.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Kerry in the way they have restructured their team. Donaghy, I thought, will just come out for the throw-in, but he's been at midfield since the beginning of the game. And Declan O'Sullivan is in at full forward, being marked by Rory O'Carroll, and over the first 10 minutes or so, they're having a great tussle.
But it means that Cian O'Sullivan, or one of the backs, is free at the other end. Cluxton shooting, and that's gone left of target. He's missed the opportunity. 3rd wide for Dublin. Crowd getting right behind both teams here, looking for a ding-dong final. And the players on both teams, by the way, have asked me to wish the best to Ireland's great rugby team, watching the final in the wee hours of New Zealand. Everybody thrilled with their performance yesterday. That's kicked out by Keeley again, but it's to a Dublin player, to Michael Darragh Macaulay. Outside of the boot, forward towards Bernard Brogan, taking on Mark O'Shea. That could be a tasty duel once again. Alan Brogan coming in here. Killian Young alongside him, gets the shot in. The crowd will tell you where it's gone over the bar. Alan Brogan getting Dublin's first. That's the trophy they're hoping to bring with them, a replica, but anyway, up in the Hill 16 today. But a lovely, well-constructed move there involving Bernard Brogan, finished off by Allen, and it's Dublin 1, Kerry 1.
Yeah, that was a great aerial shot actually of what happened that time. Killian Young is marking Alan Brogan, going 1-to-1 with him, but Brogan was confident with his own ability that time, shot a great opening score for them.
Again, it's Kieran Donaghy who wins the kick out there ahead of James McCarthy, and then is able to feed it to colleagues. Aidan O'Mahony fouled here by Paul Flynn. And the referee's going to bring the ball forward 13 metres, penalising Dublin yardage. And he's going to have a word as well with Paul Flynn. A bit early in the game to be picking up caution from the referee.
Yeah, a little bit of inexperience that time on Paul Flynn's part. He got involved unnecessarily, I thought, with Kieran Donaghy, and has earned himself a yellow card very early in the game to be picking that up.
Well, Dublin will be hoping that he will be his usual hugely effective self, but that time he was leading with the hands, as you could see. Free kick, which Brian Sheehan's going to take, just inside Dublin's 65-metre line. Ooh, that was precise, and it just skids on the ground here and away from Darren O'Sullivan, but the idea was so clever.
The idea was clever. Darren O'Sullivan has lost his marker very well, and that's probably down to the fact that Ger Brennan is marking the space in front of the D and not going 1-to-1 with Darren O'Sullivan.
Level pegging on the scoreboard as that kick out comes towards Barry Cahill. Instead it falls for Brian Cullen, the captain, and he was being fouled from behind by Anthony Marr. Free to Dublin. This to be taken by Barry Cahill. Well, he's got options inside. The two Brogans are waiting for it if it comes in their direction. Might via Kevin Nolan now in a moment. Quickly to react to it there was Brian Sheehan. Got it out as far as Tom O'Sullivan. Fisted further out here as far as Killian Young. He's playing out around the half-back line, wherever Alan Brogan goes. Darren O'Sullivan is off. 2 men after him. Good support play from Donaghy, almost like he's playing a basketball game, almost just staying there for a moment and considering his options. Anthony Marr back out as far as Tomas O'Shea. Kerry almost toying on occasions with this young Dublin team, still level on the scoreboard however. O'Shea against Cullen, opting to kick it in the end, put under pressure, good pressure by Brian Cullen, out via Cluxton. Ger Brennan now to start the counter-attack, taking it back from Paul Flynn. Out to Bastic. Oof, let it bounce rather nervously. Under pressure immediately from his man, who's Brian Sheehan. Line ball to Dublin, however. Dublin will be hoping to weather the early storm here. Falling to peace. Just trying to find their feet in this final still. Paul Flynn. Kicked in the end by Dennis Bastin. 1 against 3, and the one took it. That's Diarmuid. Chipped ahead neatly. Bernard Brogan. After him, Mark O'Shea. Again, the ground not doing the players any great deal of favour. All the rain we had earlier on. Out by Anthony Marr eventually. Kerry hold to Thomas Sullivan. There too is Donegal Walsh. Coming away as Anthony Marr. Slipped as far as Aidan O'Mahony. And eventually lost by Killian Young. Lost to Alan Brogan, who kicks and scores another. 2 in a row for Alan Brogan. And Dublin take the lead by 2 points to 1. And we're in the 15th minute.
Yeah, Kerry might feel aggrieved somewhat that Killian Young coming out of the ball that time was foul, but I think the referee was correct in letting the play go on, and Brogan's got the opportunity and took it superbly.
Prospects of a fascinating All-Ireland final. Free kick to Kerry, taken by Tomas O'Shea. Down here as far as Declan O'Sullivan, holding off the challenges of a couple of Dublin players, one of them Kevin Nolan on the ground. It's got to be a free kick.
Yeah, there's an interesting tactical issue going on at the moment with Dublin, or with Kerry as well. Anthony Maher is playing very far back in his half-back line, and I think Donaghy has moved to wing forward.
The hand there of Declan O'Sullivan was what made contact with Kevin Nolan. Just coming back here, there you are. I don't think he intended it. His hand was coming back. Probably didn't know where the Dublin player was.
Wasn't intentional.
Giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly, trying to brush him off somewhat, but definitely caught Kevin Nolan in the face.
Kevin Nolan, who's now teaching in Ongar in Lucan. There who works very prodigiously and has been doing so all summer. He really felt the effects of that arm. Dublin fans in full voice on Hill 16 and every other part of Croke Park, enjoying their team in front.
Yeah, and they have a right to be excited by their team at the moment. They weathered the initial storm that Kerry threw at them. They're playing very composed football at the moment. They have managed to put great pressure on the Kerry attack anytime the ball has gone in there. And the influence that we thought Colm Cooper would be able to exert early on in the game hasn't manifested itself so far.
Jack O'Connor there in consultation with his backroom team, which included there, as you can see on the right-hand side, Alan O'Sullivan, that's the physical trainer. And there's the face of Kevin Nolan from Kilmacud Crokes, the 22-year-old. I'm giving Declan O'Sullivan the benefit of the doubt, as I mentioned earlier, that it wasn't absolutely intentional, but given a free kick anyway, which is the correct decision.
Correct, yeah, but I wouldn't in any way blame Declan O'Sullivan for that. I think he was just trying to push the lad away, which is perfectly legitimate, and in doing so he did catch its space, but there was nothing intentional in it.
So Tomas O'Shea will take it, now only 4 championship appearances behind his brother Dara. Race for possession here, eventually kicked in by Anthony Marr. Donaghy now watches. There's nothing he can do about it as the ball again skids on the turf, and that's a 4th wide by Kerry, who trail by 2 points to 1.
Yeah, that's quite ragged by Kerry. That's untypical of Kerry. They're not finding their inside men at all, which is most unlike them.
This is towards Flynn, but this time it's taken down and won there by Owen Brosnan. I think Kerry have been watching the videos of Dublin because they target Paul Flynn so often from those kickouts by Cloxton. But Dublin have it back. Cher Brennan going long, inside towards Diarmuid Connolly, fisted away by Tom O'Sullivan. Other players then to pick up the pieces, this time Tomas O'Shea, onto Darren O'Sullivan. This man has got great pace. Here he goes! Dished off here beautifully. What a goal! That's an absolute peach. And it's the captain who's got it. And it's scored in the 19th minute. And once again, it was the pace of Darren O'Sullivan that cut open the Dublin defence. He knifed his way through. Wonderful run, a penetrating move, dished off to Cooper at the precise time, and what a finish. And it's now 1-1 to 2 points.
Cooper's wonderful dropping off that time, getting into the correct position to receive the pass, but Darren O'Sullivan, like a knife through butters, the way he went through the Dublin defence. That was a magnificent constructed goal and executed goal. Great response from Kerry.
Now let's see what the quick response from Dublin's going to be. Rocked by the concession of that. Michael Darragh Macaulay kicking it in. Alan Brogan goes racing after it, but it's going to beat everybody for pace once again. And the place still humming as a result of what was Colm Cooper's 18th ever championship goal.
Yes, Gas in the semi-final against Mayo, he scored 1-7, haven't had quite enough first half, but just watch the timing of that pass and the way Cooper just side-footed it into the corner. That's precision personified. Beautiful execution by Cooper.
It's like as if he's passing it past the goalkeeper. Back in the middle of the park, Dublin win it. And this time it's Barry Cahill who's fouled by Owen Brosnan. Dublin have got to win those physical battles against Kerry if they're to prevail here. Brian Cullen switching the direction. Neatly forward here, taken in once again by Paul Flynn. Back as far as Bastick. Scored against Tyrone. Bit of a rarity, that one. Left well short. Tomas O'Shea. Here's Mark O'Shea. Fisted across here this time as far as Aidan O'Mahony. Loads of experience there. Kerry will keep it nice and calm. Won't get too excited about anything. Darren O'Sullivan goes down, that time under Michael Dara McCauley's challenge. A foul challenge, free kick.
Yeah, that's a straightforward foul up around the neck. Joe McQuillan has no option but to award a free to Kerry.
Jack O'Connor getting very animated. His player down injured. Earlier on it was Kevin Nolan who was down injured. And there is going to be a change for Kerry, and the man who's going to come on, and probably the rafters will be raised, will be Paul Galvin, ready to be introduced. Ger O'Keefe there, one of the selectors alongside him. Meanwhile, Kerry go back into the attack again. Kieran O'Leary going low, trying to play it back out. Donaghy held on here by O'Sullivan. That's Darren O'Sullivan. Down towards Kieran O'Leary as well, playing in his first All-Ireland final. And the 24-year-old gets it across beyond Cooper. Falls for Michael Dara McCauley instead. Tracked back well. The final pass out though, just about kept in there by Paul Flynn. This is Ger Brennan stepping away from trouble. Sheehan's after him. Still Brennan. Michael Dara McCauley once again. Head up, looking for a colleague. Finding Cahill with a precise pass. This is much better from Dublin. Cahill going through, being urged forward, taken down just outside the large rectangle. Free in.
Yeah, I think that's the secret for Dublin. If they can get forwards in a situation where they can take on the Kerry backs one-on-one. That time Cahill went straight line, got past Aidan O'Mahony, who conceded the free just outside the large parallelogram. That
time frailties shown among the Kerry defenders. 5 of the 6, 31 years of age, remember. This free kick to be taken by Bernard Brogan, looking for his first point of the match. And there was a yellow card there, which is to Aidan O'Mahony. So a yellow card per team. Bernard Brogan kicking this, routine one for him, puts it over the bar. Bernard Brogan puts it over, and it's 1-1 to 3 points off the ball. While we were watching that, this is what was happening down at the other end of the field.
Well, I saw what was happening there. Now, I didn't see ultimately what happened, but what happened there, I think Declan O'Sullivan and Rory O'Carroll came over. Declan O'Sullivan came over to have a word with Jack O'Connor. Rory O'Carroll came with him. Now, I don't know what happened after that, but certainly Declan O'Sullivan went down in a heap. So, you can only speculate that maybe Rory O'Carroll made contact with him, but I didn't see it actually happening, but I saw the prelude to it.
Well, it's resulted in Joe McQuillan going down to have a word with his umpires now. And down there at the Hill 16 end, Jimmy Galligan and T.P. Gray are the 2 umpires. So what did the men in white see? No need for Judge Judy. We've got the 2 men here who probably will have had a very good view. Declan O'Sullivan and Rory O'Carroll. Martin, you were saying the 2 involved?
Yep. I think Declan O'Sullivan came over to the sideline to get instructions from Jack O'Connor. Rory O'Carroll came with him. Now, whatever happened after that, I'm not so sure, but they were certainly having words with one another.
So it's going to result in a card here. And a quick flash of yellow shown to Rory O'Carroll. Dublin 2 yellow cards, Kerry 1. And Kerry are making a change. This is what happened. Have a look at this again.
Yeah. One rushing off the other. Just watch it here. Don't see anything much in that so far.
Well, that was the completion of that particular episode. Now Kieran O'Leary I saw coming off the field there, and I think Paul Galvin has gone in. And that's a very early time to be making that change. Only 24 minutes of the match gone. Kieran O'Leary had hardly enough time to get right before Kerry decides to bring on Galvin, who was trying to get the ball there from Barry Cahill. Now it's Brian Cullen. Lobbed in there. Touchdown brilliantly. And finish. Oh! Should have been by Alan Brogan until Brendan Keeley got in the way. They say he's a great shot stopper. That was a fabulous piece of goalkeeping as the two Brogans were involved. That'll be worth looking at again in a moment. But Brendan Keeley has stopped a certain Dublin goal.
That's a superb bit of goalkeeping by Keeley once again. Against Cork he did it with, I think it was Paul Kerrigan. He did it on a couple of occasions against me, but that there was the best of the lot of them.
Great pace in the match. Down as far as Declan O'Sullivan here. Three blue shirts alongside him, cuts it back to Donncha Walsh, taking off, trying to get past Nolan, and eventually it's Mick Fitzsimons who comes out, the cooler youngster, fouled, free out. Point between them, Kerry still in front, low scoring All-Ireland final, up as far as Alan Brogan, taken away here by James McCarthy, kicked in diagonally towards Connolly, takes it down, quick look at the post. Three men after him, make it two now at this stage. It's still Diarmuid Connolly. Oh, very tamely hit. Easy one for Keeley. Out as far as Mark O'Shea. And it's Kerry's turn to breathe a sigh of relief that time. Dublin should have had a couple of scores in the last two attacks. Ended up getting absolutely nothing. Still Tomas O'Shea. Now 33 years of age. Down as far as Cooper, the goal scorer. Foul there by Fitzsimons, his marker.
Yeah, just going back to that save, it must be said that Alan Brogan had time to compose himself and pick a spot, and that's what made the save all the more meritorious.
That time Donncha Walsh had time to pick a spot. Into Donaghy! Oh, wonderful stop! Cian O'Sullivan this time. Brilliant work by Cian O'Sullivan, the UCD student and the Kilmacud Crokes player. Match really hotting up. Michael Darragh Macaulay, 65 metres from his own goal. Way back there is Alan Brogan. Neat pass in, fumble there by Flynn. In came Galvin. Referee said, leading him with the boot. Free kick to Dublin. Dublin took it too quickly, and they'll have to take it again. Paul Flynn's down injured.
No, I thought Galvin attacked that ball fair and square along with Paul Flynn. Maybe the boot all right, but certainly went hard for it, and he was perfectly entitled to go in for that. Watch that save in that case. I see what Kieran Donaghy was complaining about. He probably felt that the ball was touching the ground, but just watch it. Alan Brogan has time here, but Keeley with his right hand gets a strong hand to it and deflects the ball away to safety. Great save.
Oh, he's done really well this year, Brendan Keeley, producing several of those important saves. Back in the middle of the park, the referee is going to award a free kick, and up comes Stephen Cluxton to try and kick a point, his second time to hit a long range free for Dublin. Last one was a little bit nearer. This is central, as you can see. That's the distance out. What, about 50 metres?
It hasn't been a most enjoyable game up to now. I know there have only been, whatever it is, 5 scores from the game, but it's some exceptional football from both sides, and both defences doing very, very well.
Sheer intensity so far. Cluxton kicking up into the air. It's got accuracy, it's got everything. It's over the bar. And the teams are level. It's Kerry 1-1, Dublin 4 points. Teams level for the second time. What a reliable kicker from frees like that Stephen Cluxton has become.
I think this is his 11th point of the championship, which is an amazing statistic for a goalkeeper.
Into the middle of the park again it comes. Broken down that time by Michael Darragh Macaulay. Picked up by Kerry, by Donncha Walsh. Across there by Galvin. Gives it away. Onto it quickly came Brian Cullen. Now Macaulay. Into space it comes. Running across for Bernard Brogan. Fair old distance from the goal. Mark O'Shea out there. What a kick. What a point. That's superb by Bernard Brogan. Top footballer last year. Doing well in this final. And Dublin lead by 5 points to 1-1. Kerry with only 2 scores in the match so far.
Yeah, that came as a badly directed pass from Paul Galvin. Well picked up, but notice the ball by Macaulay out into the corner. It isolated Brogan with Mark O'Shea in a 1-to-1. And Brogan's kick had all the accuracy and a fine score.
The kick out for Kerry has all the accuracy as well. Brian Sheehan initially, Tomas O'Shea, and then finally from Galvin back to Mark O'Shea. 11 minutes since Kerry scored. Dublin now winning the major battles. Bastick in, and it runs away on from Bernard Brogan. The ball just wouldn't oblige. But
the ball
Pat Gilroy must be pleased.
He must be pleased. The ball wouldn't oblige, and I think a lot of the Kerry passing isn't obliging themselves at the moment. There's so many missed passes. They're being put under huge pressure by the Dublin middle third players. It's a fascinating contest out around the middle at the moment.
David Hickey there in the background as well, one of the stars of the past in the 70s. In the 2011 final, going up for that one was Dennis Bastick. And acrobatically getting himself back on his feet again. Free taken by Barry Cahill for that foul on Bastick. Taken in here by Alan Brogan. Brogan doing well against Killian Young. The target in there was Bernard Brogan. Instead it's Mark O'Shea winning this one. Covering well, out as far as Brosnan, all the way down, intended for Darren O'Sullivan, comes bouncing back into the middle of the park once again. Dublin with a high energy level. They've got youth and fitness. They've got David Connolly. Galvin was after him, tripped him, free in, and another chance of a point here.
That was a clumsy concession of a free that time by Galvin. Didn't get around the defending side as he should have done, and that's a silly free to concede in a very threatening area.
Well, he got 20 touches when he came on in the semi-final against Mayo for the second half. Ola has been a vital figure in Kerry teams over the years. 31 years of age now, 7th All-Ireland final appearance. Diarmaid Sullivan down there getting some attention.
Yeah, he hasn't had an awful lot of game time this year, and he may not be as sharp as he'd like to be, and maybe that was, an example of the fact that he's just a little bit off the pace at the moment.
Physio Kieran O'Reilly is in there attending to the stricken St Vincent's player. Bernard Brogan's got 2 points so far. The fans for Dublin are happy. The Kerry fans must be a little bit tense. The lead has changed hands 3 times in this final so far. Mickey Whelan there alongside Pat Gilroy. Now Bernard Brogan is 25 metres from the target. Should suit him. His team a point ahead already. 3 minutes to go to half-time. He's got it. 3rd point for the 27-year-old. 2 of them coming from frees, and Dublin to a 2-point lead. It's been a fair old while since Kerry scored.
It hasn't. You'd be very concerned about the middle of the park. Neither Maher or Sheehan are getting on much ball at the moment. That has to be a cause of great concern.
Dublin are grouping well, winning the breaks. Paul Flynn, probably still a little bit worried by that hamstring that has been troubling him in the last few weeks. Out it comes to Brian Sheehan. Kerry now need to steady things, stabilise their efforts. Sheehan, Tomas O'Shea, now Mark O'Shea going out wide, out as far as Killian Young, fed inside once again, Tom O'Sullivan. Declan O'Sullivan now has come back to a much deeper role. Darren O'Sullivan lets it run away from 2 Kerry players collide. The other one is Donegal Walsh, and the referee saw it as a foul and a free kick.
I think it was Keane O'Sullivan, was it, that conceded that free. He's at the moment, by the way, marking Darren O'Sullivan. That switch has been made by Pat Gilroy a couple of moments ago, and Cooper is still being marked by Michael Fitzsimons, and what it must be said, he's not getting much supply of the ball at the moment.
Kerry haven't scored now since the 19th minute of this final, so here we are, 2 minutes to go to the break, and it's Brian Sheehan who will hit this free kick from just outside the 45-metre line. The mist has eased. It's become a very pleasant day. Whatever breeze there is blowing across from left to right as he faces this one. It's across the field the wind today. Sheehan with a lovely languid style of free kicking normally. Let's see how he does here. Connects well, but it's got to drop short. And it bounces back out again to Darren O'Sullivan, back out to the Gooch, back out to Galvin. And the enfant terrible puts it over. Narrows the gap, one between them. Paul Galvin's first point since coming on. Well, that free kick didn't quite have the distance that time, but it was Kerry who were sharp and alert to the possibilities, and Galvin direct and true with his kicking.
A lovely example that time of unselfish play. First of all by Darren O'Sullivan, passing it out to Cooper, who in turn transferred it to Galvin, and that'll do Galvin the world of good to put that one over the bar.
Dublin goes short with their kick out to Fitzsimons. There'll be 2 additional minutes played, the end of the opening 35. Oh, that was left by Aidan O'Mahony and gleefully taken by Mahal, which was a mistake because Ger Brennan's now up with the attack and they've got a free kick. Well, there was a situation where Aidan O'Mahony was leaving the ball out. Galvin's back protesting. Dublin got on about their business. And it ends up with a free kick here. Galvin after Ger Brennan. And was there much in that?
Oh, I thought that was a very, very soft free. Galvin, I thought, did the right thing that time. He got on the goal side of his attacker. I thought he got into the correct situation to actually defend it. I thought that was a very harsh call against him.
So for harsh, for soft, do we say wrong call, referee? Bernard Brogan taking it, and he's put it wide. 6-5 still in points. Dublin still leading. We're into time added on. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say to his charges. So the wide 6-4, Dublin leading. So the all-important score, the one on the bottom, or the top left-hand corner. Here's Brosnan. Kerry behind by a point, heading towards half-time. Declan O'Sullivan on towards Darren O'Sullivan. You still feel there's an awful lot of football left in the forwards if they get possession. Need to win midfield, however. Back towards Donegal Walsh. Well, they're going across the field. They've gone to Jamal Sochet, who's got 1-4 in finals in the past. Here's Anthony Marr getting away from Ger Brennan. Is there an end product? There's a free in. It's a fair distance out. It's an opportunity for Kerry to draw level just before the half-time break as James McCarthy came up and over Anthony Marr.
Came up and over, and I thought, to be honest with you, Anthony Marr had run out of options that time. I thought he'd lost his way. The attack seemed to have died with him. And James McCarthy, I thought maybe a little bit unlucky once more to have actually conceded a free in.
So it's going to be Colm Cooper who will take this, looking for a point to go with the goal he scored after 19 minutes. Kerry behind by a point. He's hit it truly, and he's put it wide, unfortunately, from a Kerry point of view. Didn't quite have the line.
Yeah, I just wonder about the wind down there. Was he kicking that ball into a difficult enough wind? The wind, as we can see it from the flag, blowing directly into him that time, but he seemed to force that kick and just drifted wide.
So the 2 minutes of stoppage time has now been played, and the referee having a look at his watch, I can tell you, as Stephen Cluxton sums up his options. It's half-time at the All-Ireland Football Final 2011, a game lit up by Colm Cooper's goal after 19 minutes. It's a first half which saw a wonderful save by Kerry goalkeeper Brendan Keeley after 25 from Alan Brogan, and Cian O'Sullivan getting in the way of a Kieran Donaghy would-be goal for Kerry in the 27th minute. So just a point separating these teams at the break. Dublin will be pleased enough. It's Dublin 6 points, it's Kerry 1-2. We've got an analysis, lots to talk about at Croke Park, back after this break.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
The blood is up, the game plan is set and the teams are raring to go. Though untroubled by the finer details of the game.
She looked at Mary Poppins going around the field. That's not going to create the impression you want to create with a football team.
Straight from the start, get stuck right in.
They're fully committed to the challenge. The new series of Celebrity Banish Thor starts tonight at 6:30 on RTE1 or catch up on the RTE player.
Because of their dedication, we're dedicated to them. The Cadbury GAA Football Under-21 Championship.
Listen, we're in difficult times socially, economically and environmentally. But the only people who will get us out of this mess are ourselves. It's up to every one of us to do our bit. Problem in the orchard, what do?
We fix it ourselves.
Exactly. Now imagine Ireland as a huge orchard. Any ideas?
Give everyone free apple seeds. Ask for our bottles back. They could plant more apple trees.
Wind-powered tractors.
Are you doing your bit, Mr. McWilliams?
I certainly am.
Then mine's the Bulmers, please.
The same hoarse voices, the same clenched fists, the same words uttered that some sitters missed. The same heads shaken, the same moments replayed, the same excuses given for daft predictions made. The same soaring highs, the same crashing lows, the same oh yeses, the same oh noes. The same old characters, the same place in the stands, the same mad passions. We're the same, we're fans. Championship every Monday in the Irish Examiner.
Come on, lads, the club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
Back here at Croke Park, it's half-time in the 2011 All-Ireland Football Final. Dublin leading Kerry 6 points to 1 goal and 2 points. Colm O'Rourke, Pat Spillane, Joe Brawley here with me in studio. Colm, you were saying to me during that first half, this was proof that you don't have to have high scores in a game and to be having a really, really good game of football.
Yeah, I just thought it was a brilliant first 20 minutes, and there was nearly no scores in it. And, you know, sometimes people say, you know, if it's a defensive style of game, it tends to be a dour sort of game. But we had everything in that first half. We had brilliant play from both sides, a lot of goal mount incidents, great individual performances, and Dublin have set out their stall, and the game is going very much in their favour with the defensive strategy they're employing. Also, Alan Brogan and Bernard Brogan are doing quite well, even though the supply of ball is a bit erratic and they're kicking it in the wrong angles. But Dublin have set out a defensive strategy. They're defending en masse, and their half forwards are doing phenomenal work. Whether they're able to keep it up is another thing. And Kerry have now played their trump card as a sub by bringing on Paul Galvin. So Pat Kilroy will be very happy in the Dublin dressing room.
Pat, what do you think of it?
I wouldn't go so far as to say it was a brilliant game, but it was very interesting, very enjoyable, and an enthralling game. And yes, a low-scoring game can be a very enjoyable game of football, because there was plenty scoring chances by both teams, you know. I mean, Dublin have brought an intensity to the table, which I knew they'd bring. Their tackling is ferocious and brilliant, and Kerry don't seem to be prepared for it. Now, they've decided to say, right, we're giving you the possession, Kerry, you have the extra man coming up, and Kerry most of the time playing into their hand, because they're carrying the ball into the tackle, they're shot passing the ball, they're easy targets for the Dublin defence. They started with Kieran Donaghy as a wing forward. I don't know what the play was there, because it seemed baffling. They gave one high ball, they moved him in near the end and gave him a high ball, and it looked threatening. They haven't got Gooch into the game. Look, 3 scores in 37 minutes of football is a poor return. They're playing second fiddle to this Dublin team, and Jack O'Connor has a lot of worrying to do at half-time, a lot of sorting out to do.
He has, and Joe, one of the things he's got to sort out is the way Dublin are defending this game, as the two lads have been talking about.
Well, you know, that's really what's controlling the game now, Dublin's defensive work, and I mean their defensive work from their half-forward line back, including the fact that Kerry's forwards are being swarmed in possession 2 and 3, and what happens eventually is that forwards become wearied with that. It becomes more and more difficult. They start to become disenchanted, even great forwards like some of the forwards that Kerry have. The other side of that, of course, is that, unlike, say, Donegal, Dublin are breaking at immense pace when they do win possession, and they're then firing the ball in. Now, Kerry are in the middle of a real high-wire act. As we thought beforehand, they've gone man-to-man. On 2 occasions, Bernard Brogan was free inside, and poor passes were given towards it. One was kicked over the end line, and one was kicked out away at the sideline. One of those passes going to the right place, and the ball's in the net. And as the game advances, you can see that Dublin's defensive strategy, even though Kerry have better players, is allowing Dublin to stay in the driving seat.
And yet you can't deny the little bit of genius when it gets a chance, because despite Dublin's good defending, Gooch still managed to get in for the goal.
Yeah, and it was the one thing you'd say would never happen. Like Darren O'Sullivan picks the ball right up in the middle of the field, and everybody sort of backs off, and it was the one thing you wouldn't think would happen. And then, of course, everybody in Dublin said, oh no, look who has it now, and bang, it's in the back of the net. you know, Mick Fitzsimons would nearly have been better off to stay with Gooch.
That's
and
exactly
let Darren
right,
O'Sullivan shoot himself coming in, because he was caught. He was going on to his right foot and he needed to be on his left. So
it wasn't even bang into the back of the net. It was just a lovely little chip.
Look at the way he stroked it with the inside of his left foot. I mean, it wasn't, there was no power. This was just with accuracy. This is a thing of beauty. And like I said, they haven't, I mean, for Kerry to win the All-Ireland, they will have to get Gooch on the ball far more often, and they're not doing it at the moment because they can't get past that intensity. They're losing the ball.
Even if they do, they're consistently outnumbered. There are 2-3 defenders, and Dublin are committing them. And if a man gets turned, we'll all hit him, 2-3 at a time. It's impossible to get around that. And the number of times that a Kerry player's been on the ground, slithering a ball out to someone, they're cutting down the room. They're doing exactly what I hoped they would do before the game.
Looking at
they're playing with a clear vision here, you know.
I was saying it to you, Michael, there. It was very interesting in the middle of the field. Kerry get the ball in the middle of the field. Kevin Nolan wouldn't bother marking his man. He'd just run back towards the goal because he'd know that Brian Cullen or Barry Cahill or Paul Flynn or some of these other fellas were going to get back to take his man. It's taken incredible stamina for those men to keep up this job.
And yet, despite the goal that Colin Cooper got, Kerry could have got another one as well.
They certainly could have. It was the one time Pat was saying why they didn't bring Donaghy or put him in earlier, even though he got a lot of ball around the middle of the field.
It going nowhere and in no threat.
Yeah, but this was the one time Dublin got a bit exposed. Donaghy with the ball, and I think it's Keane O'Sullivan gets down and it looked as if the ball was picked on the ball.
The difference between his kick and Gooch's kick, basically it was a case there of Donaghy turning around, putting the head down and swinging the leg. With Gooch, what you got with Gooch is the head up, and he's looking for position, he's looking to place the ball, and that's what went wrong there.
We're headed for a break here on the Sunday Game. When we come back, we'll be giving you another chance to enter our special football competition. Now you could be enjoying the sights and the sounds of New York with money in your pocket. Don't go away.
Experience more. Aircom, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
3 Irish millionaires will go undercover in some of Ireland's most deprived areas whilst living on the minimum wage.
That's 12.5 € a day.
They will work side by side with people they could help.
We don't have problems when you see that.
At the end of their stay, they will give away thousands of euros of their own money. A new series, The Secret Millionaire, starts Monday at 9:35 on RTE1.
Aircom and the GAA. Experience more.
You are the singers, the makers, the change, the possibility. It might be our network, but it's your playground. Vodafone, power to you.
Here in the Rocky Mountains, we know how beer should be served. So when you see those mountains turn blue, you know that what you're about to experience is not just cold, it's Rocky Mountain cold. Coors Light, Rocky Mountain refreshment.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
You're welcome back to the Sunday Game. Now, today might be the culmination of this year's football championship, but in 8 months' time it will all swing back into action again, and you could be swinging into action with it in New York. Here are the details.
Are
RTE Sport has teamed up with Ulster Bank, proud sponsor of the GAA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship, to give you the chance to win a fantastic trip for you and a friend to New York City. This great prize includes return flights, 4 nights accommodation in a 4-star Manhattan hotel, 2 tickets to see New York's GAA Football Championship game next May, and to top it all off, we'll also give you $5,000 in spending money. For your chance to win, answer this question. Which of these were the last county to win back-to-back All-Ireland Senior Football Championships? Was it Tyrone, Dublin or Kerry? To enter, call 1515 71 71 74 or text the word football followed by your answer and name to 57111. Viewers in the north can also text 57111 or call the number on screen. Over 18 to enter. Full details are on RTE Airtel page 194. Lines will close at midday on Wednesday the 21st of September and the lucky winner will be announced that evening on the committee room on RTE2, so tune in for that.
It's a good one. Make sure that you're in. It's half-time here at Croke Park. Dublin leading Kerry 6 points to 1 goal and 2 points. Dublin did have a goal chance as well, Pat.
They did, and a far better goal chance than maybe, say, Kieran Donaghy had for Kerry. I think this is one when Alan Brogan looked back on it in the DVD in a few days' time, he'll see this one as one he should have put away. First of all, you must compliment Brendan Keeling goals. He got the angles right. He's probably the best shot stopper in the modern game. But I just think what happened there is that Alan Brogan dwelt too long on the ball, gave a chance for Keely to position himself, and then instead of playing it low under the goalie, he shot at a height which was easy for the goalie to block. So great save,
but he made himself very big.
Great
no
save,
doubt about that. It's time to head down pitch side to join Marty Morrissey. Let's hear what they all think of it down there.
Well, at the moment, Michael, I have a slightly worried Kerry man and a little bit happier Dublin man, Declan O'Keefe. What can Jack O'Connor do for the second half? Because Kerry do have their problems, don't they?
Yeah, Marty, we're in a real battle now, and Dublin are dictating this game to Kerry at the moment, so he'll have to sit them down inside. We'll probably have to put more emphasis on our defence. I think we're leaving ourselves very exposed at the back end. We'll have to spread the play out a bit. We're coming up through the middle there, we're a bit too narrow, I think, playing into Dublin's hands, and we'll have to get the Gooch more into the game as well. He's not in the game really, and at the moment Dublin are dictating the terms of this All-Ireland final.
Jason, a pretty good performance after kind of an unsettling 15 minutes. Dublin seem to find their rhythm, and the game plan, the defensive plan is working, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a very cagey first half. Obviously there was a lot of worry in the Dublin team how they were going to mark up and match up against the Kerry forwards, and Kerry showed with their goal that they are capable of opening up any team. But in fairness, what I was so impressed of from Dublin was the reaction after the goal. They coped with it and they got themselves back in the game. Now they're right in with a great chance. The more Kerry press on, it's going to leave gaps in the back, but I'm afraid for Dublin supporters it's going to be edge of the seat stuff for the second half.
In a word, you can still do it?
Oh, heart in the sleeve, the Dubs all the way.
Jason Sherlock, Declan O'Keefe, thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's back up to Michael.
Dublin are back out onto the field. We're waiting for Kerry. Colin O'Rourke, you tipped Dublin before. They're edging it.
Well, the game is going in Dublin's favour, and Dublin always had to win a low-scoring game, I felt, and it's very much like that at the moment. I didn't think I'd ever sit in Croke Park and see over a half an hour go from Kerry's first point to their second point, like from the first minute, I think, to the 33rd minute. So it's an incredible performance by Dublin in defending, but they also have to ensure that they come out and score another 7 or 8 or 10 points in total, because that danger always lurks there. Like Cooper gets his hand on the ball, he slide another one in. So it's an intriguing contest. It's very finely balanced, but I wouldn't desert Dublin.
No, it's going to open up, Pat, in the second half. It's going to become a little bit more helter-skelter, you suspect.
I don't think so. I think Dublin
will
stick.
So?
No, I don't think so. No,
right,
I'd like to think it will open up, but no, it won't. Dublin will stick to that successful defensive plan for the first half. For Kerry in the second half, they will up the intensity. They will have to move the ball quicker, faster, more direct. But the key element, if Kerry are going to win this All-Ireland, is to get Donaghy and Gooch on the ball with quick, good quality supply. That's the key. And maybe cut out the fouling. They gave away 3 frees there, and they were soft frees.
2 of those frees that weren't
a massive factor in this is that they survived the early Kerry blitzkrieg. They came out of it with a point on the board, Kerry. I mean, they've now sowed doubts in Kerry's mind. They're exactly where they want to be. You know, this is their time to push on.
There is an attendance of 82,300 here at Croke Park enjoying this football final. All set to go for the second half. Let me hand you back to Ger Canning and Martin Carney.
Thanks, Michael. That's a capacity crowd, of course, at Croke Park. So 1 point between them, teams as they were going off at half time. 1 wide between them as well. Kerry 5, Dublin 6. referees awarded. Again, only one between them. Couldn't be tighter all the way along. So unchanged since the half-time break. And now it is Dublin who are playing down towards Hill 16. Kerry with it all to do, you would feel. Donaghy hasn't come to midfield for the start of the second half. This time they've gone with the conventional 8 and 9 in there, Mara and Sheehan. So down they get it as far as Alan Brogan. Brogan tormenting Killian Young, trying to make an angle for himself. It's a tight one, a little bit too tight on this occasion, and he has chugged it left of the post. Trying to make the best possible start to the second half. Pat Gilroy and his team out first. I'd say he was quietly pleased with the way things have gone so far. The game plan working for him.
Definitely working to perfection for him, and his wing forwards in particular, the likes of Ryan Cullen, Paul Flynn and I must say Cahill, putting in great defensive stints.
Kerry winning their own kick out this time, but look how far back Tomas O'Shea is forced to go, all the way back along. Mark O'Shea now. Again, Kerry build up in measured fashion out of defence here. Donegal Walsh now. Tomas O'Shea. Looking for the first point of the second half. Sent it long towards Donaghy. Broke it down, but there's a Dublin player there waiting for it. Kevin Nolan. Helped out by Michael Dara McCauley. A little bit of work there for James McCarthy to do. His dad was a star when Dublin last beat Kerry in an All-Ireland final, 76. His dad, John, scored the first goal. Was hauled down for the second, which resulted in a penalty. Dublin trying to bridge a long gap in terms of victories over Kerry in a final. Ger Brennan now. On as far as Barry Cahill. Comes back in the end here as far as Declan O'Sullivan. Trying to get around Paul Flynn. Holding the possession. Mar required. Long in towards Colm Cooper. And the Gooch trying to transfer it to Brian Sheehan. It broke down. Fitzsimon's got in. Clever defending. Now James McCarthy. Support players coming to help out. Look how far back Alan Brogan has come. Ger Brennan now. Oof, hefty challenge there. Aidan O'Mahony went in, but again it's recycled by Dublin. Bastick initially, now his partner in midfield, McCauley. Out as far as Cullen, who slips, gets up quickly. Forward by Alan Brogan into the corner. McCauley made up a lot of ground. Now he's through, and he's hauled down outside the large rectangle. A player who got a goal in the league match back at the end of February. Drop kick on that occasion, and he had the goal in his sights again here in this All-Ireland final. And Dublin resorting, Kerry resorting to hauling him down. Brian Sheehan getting the yellow card for that.
And rightly gets a yellow card for that. Brian Sheehan that time, a desperation tackle, it must be said. McCauley showed great persistence in driving forward that time, probably going to fist a point, may have been able to drive on further and gone for a goal, but cynical tackle by Sheehan gives an easy opportunity to Bernard Brogan.
Well, he just got him, Martin, that time about a metre outside the large rectangle. It'll be Bernard Brogan who will take it. 3 points from the first half, 2 of them from frees. 3 of Dublin's 6 points have come from free kicks. And this one is straight up and over. Good start to the second half. This is what was happening again here. Look for Brian Sheehan after the other number 9, and look at the large rectangle just there in front of him. Got him just in time. Keeley kicking out into the centre of the park. Every man fighting for his own ball, but it's Dublin who win it. Cullen, Nolan back here as far as James McCarthy, fleet-footed. Hand pass by Nolan again to Brian Cullen, needs a second go at it. Has a man outside in support, it's Bastick. Where's the Kerry marking? Galvin coming after Bastick. Bastick withstands the challenge. Out to Bernard Brogan, backing it to Bastick. And Bastick has kicked it over. Good work by the Temple Oak Sing Street player. His third point of this year's championship. A lovely combined effort by Dublin. Intent all the way on ending up with a scoring position. And Dennis Bastick, the one who delivers.
Yeah, it must be said, Dublin are way livelier, way fitter, seem a way fitter, and around the middle of the field in particular, they win the second ball all the time. They're putting far greater pressure on Kerry, and Kerry are finding it so hard to manoeuvre the ball forward.
Tomas O'Shea kicked into space towards Donaghy. Rory O'Carroll just trying to stay back. Picked up here by Darren O'Sullivan. Brennan was near him, back to Donaghy again. Bear in mind, Dublin have had a very, very tough build-up to this championship, really, when you think about it. Kerry perceived to have had the easier run through, as that ball is kicked under pressure and is kicked wide. And wide of the match by the Kingdom, kicked that time by Declan O'Sullivan.
Once more, Declan O'Sullivan put under an awful lot of pressure at that time as he was kicking the ball. But a number of the players in the Kerry team are on the middle of the park, and I'm talking about Maher, about Sheehan, about Aidan O'Mahony. They're too one-pace at the moment. They don't seem to have the energy or that sharpness to get in and dispossess Dublin. Dublin seem to have all the energy and the verve around that area right now.
As Cluxton kicks out and Dublin try to retain the possession. Kicked it towards Cahill that time, but it's Donnacha Walsh who gets there for Kerry. Now Brian Sheens, a lot of this final still to be played. Aidan O'Mahony there forward. And again it's the dashing Darren O'Sullivan trying to cause consternation. Back to help out, the defence was Dennis Bastick, and it's a bit of a mad helter-skelter challenge for it. Brian Sheehan on his hands and knees over there. Fists thrown, Donaghy and Michael Darragh-Macaulay, two of the players involved.
That time, definitely, I thought Darren O'Sullivan was fouled in the first place that time. Okay, as I think it was Maher was trying to get down on the ball, or Brian Sheehan was trying to get down on the ball to pick it up. Definitely, there was a foul on him.
You remember the semi-final, and Jack O'Connor was saying afterwards, we were glad of that tough match. Second half, he found it a tough game. The inference being that by and large, they'd had a pretty okay run to the final. If you take into account the Munster final, which was a peculiar game in itself, in that Kerry went 35 minutes without scoring between the two halves. Here's Brian Sheehan, and he's measured it brilliantly to kick it over the bar. It's Kerry's first pointed free of this final, and it's come in the 43rd minute. Two between them, 1-3 to 8 points. Kerry win the kick out. Maher does well. Tomas O'Shea now. Kicking long towards Donaghy. Route one, ball into Donaghy, and he fists it over the bar. Two in a row for Kerry. They're right back in it. He's pumped up. The 82,300 here are looking forward to what could be an absolutely gripping second half.
Just watch that. I'm amazed that he didn't go for a goal that time. He had done the hard work, fielding it, got around his defender. Maybe he took the percentages, took the simpler of the two options.
I don't think he felt confident.
Well, there was definitely a goal on that time.
Cluxton kick out. Who's going to win it? Touchdown by Bastick, and Kerry win it. Declan O'Sullivan in there quickly, giving leadership. Brosnan on. Sheehan back to Brosnan and say, give it to me. Good run forward again. Oh, that was Declan O'Sullivan. And out came Ger Brennan. I think it was Ger Brennan who made the contact there, and he's got to be spoken to by the referee. And I'm sure he will say it wasn't intentional, referee.
Well, that was a bad tackle, but in fairness, I think Declan O'Sullivan was falling, but Ger Brennan met him very dangerously that time.
And Ger Brennan gets yellow for that. 3 Dublin players now are on yellow cards.
That was a very hard tackle, it must be said. Just watch him, he gets him that time with the elbow. He's a lucky man that the colour of the card wasn't red.
And there's going to be a temporary substitution required, because Declan O'Sullivan, as a result of that, took a hefty knock. And there's blood from his nose, and it's going to require a temporary substitute, I think. That's what they're intimating. Physios John Sugru and Bodie McQuinn looking after Kerry this year. So there will be a quick change, and it'll be Kieran O'Leary who will be back in.
Yeah, one little statistic actually from the last couple of minutes, that the last 3 Dublin kickouts, they've tried each one of them long and they've lost the 3 in a row actually, and that is what has given Kerry the little bit of momentum to get those last couple of scores.
Very unusual, Martin, this year that they would lose 3 in a row, as that one is kicked brilliantly by Colin Cooper, and it's up and over the bar. First pointed free for him, and as attention is being rendered to Declan O'Sullivan, the teams are level now for the 3rd time. Kerry 1-5, Dublin 5 points. Dublin 8 points rather. And that's the reaction over there to that foul on their man Declan O'Sullivan. Meanwhile, Clapson under pressure. Donaghy, O'Leary was trying to close in. Donegal Walsh takes it, gets it back here to a better angle. Tomas O'Shea. Oh, it's going to drop to the left this time, and it's a wasted opportunity. Ball swerving away from O'Shea's boot. And there's going to be a Dublin change very shortly, and Philly Mac is going to come in, and the player he will be replacing, I think may well be in the half-back line. It's James McCarthy who's got to go.
Yes, I noticed James McCarthy at half-time came out with a bandage on his hamstring, so I think he probably picked up an injury during the first half.
So there is confirmation of that change then. Billy McMahon coming into play his 12th championship match, and James McCarthy limping his way out of this final. He'll be disappointed but happy at the end of 70 minutes if his team prevails. Level right now. In the middle of the park. Again, it's Dublin who goes scrambling for it, this time winning it. Ger Brennan, the man who was yellow carded just moments ago there, into Barry Cahill. 3 men around him, and the referee gives the free kick to Dublin. Dublin have scored 2 points in the second half so far. We're now 12 minutes into that.
Yeah, I thought in a number of occasions in the area of engagement that soft enough frees have been given to Dublin.
Here's Philly McMahon, first touch for him. Inside towards Diarmuid Connolly, being marked there by Tom O'Sullivan. And the referee, I think, decided the ball was handled on the ground, and it's going to be a free kick, which Colin Cooper takes way back. The team captain, number 13, in as far as Darren O'Sullivan. This time Donegal Walsh. Kerry making headway. Teams level at 88 points apiece. And Kerry's Donegal Walsh again trying to enhance their 1-5 scoreline. And the defence holding firm this time. Mick Fitzsimon's getting it out. Philly McMahon out as far as Ger Brennan, rounding Donaghy. It's there to be won. Both teams looking likely. Who's got the greater resolve? Michael Darragh Macaulay will have the free kick, which is going to be taken for Dublin by Barry Cahill. Laterally as far as Paul Flynn. Dublin trying to impose themselves again on this match. Down to the brilliant Bernard Brogan, and Brogan chips it. Well, he's normally one of the most prolific scorers in the game, and that was so close.
Oh, he won that ball superbly in front of Killian Young. Galvin got back at him, but I thought for a moment, even though he didn't hit the ball that sweetly, that it might have crept into the far corner.
Tantalising, but not quite tantalising enough for Pat Gilroy. Still level, 1-5 to 8 points. Kerry with possession. Killian Young advancing towards his 65-metre line. Paul Galvin a sub in the first half. Holding it, looking up. Well, he was thinking of a long ball in, but he had to adjust his thought pattern, I think, to hold possession. There's nothing really on initially. Tomas O'Shea now. Killian Young again. Looking away from Alan Brogan, Tomas O'Shea. They must have had that ball on the 65-metre line for the last 30 seconds. Finally, Anthony Marr, about to be confronted by Michael Darragh Macaulay. Kicks it long, 2 men in there. Donaghy trying to touch it down for Cooper. And the referee has blown his whistle as Donegal Walsh got onto it. Chipped it wide anyway. But you know the tactics at this stage. It's to go long inside towards Donaghy, and then hoping that the layoff will be good for Cooper to finish.
Yeah, but that telepathy that's between Cooper, that we've seen so often between Cooper and Donaghy, is not active today. They haven't managed to link up with one another as often as they would have liked.
Alan Brogan. Cahill now, again running into a lot of challenges, and he holds on too long. Kerry quickly taking the free, up as far as a recovered Declan O'Sullivan. But it really is a fabled rivalry, this Kerry and Dublin. It stretches all the way back to 1892, and it's still a compelling attraction. Brian Sheehan holding still. Does it carry sufficiently? It does! It's a magnificent point by Brian Sheehan. Beautiful style of play. Fabulous technique here. Shrugged off the attentions of a couple of players, then got it back onto the left, central position, and he has pushed Kerry into a 1-point lead.
Yeah, that's wonderful composure at that time by Sheehan. Looked to be in trouble, looked to have run out of options, but held his nerve, didn't panic, got onto his left foot and shot at an excellent point.
Kevin McManaman on, as you can see, and the player who's gone off has been number 10 Paul Flynn. And now Kerry also making a change. Number 21 Barry John Keane is coming on in place of Donegal Walsh. So alterations being made to the forces as we head in towards the final quarter of this year's All-Ireland football final, with Kerry edging it by just a point in a low enough scoring game. But a wonderfully intense battle at the same time. Kevin McManaman, who made such a difference when he came on in the semi-final against Donegal. Back from Cullen to Macaulay. Everybody's searching for it. Nolan's in there. Finally comes out towards Owen Brosnan. Further back out here as far as Alan Brogan, 45 metres out. In as far as Barry Cowan. He's got a loose man inside. He's got a player inside. If he gives it to Kevin McManaman, and eventually the referee has blown his whistle because the ball was handled on the ground.
Kevin McManaman was, just watch him here, he was loose for an age here had he been seen by Barry Cahill. It's pleading for the ball. When he eventually gets it, the block is executed all right. Well, I'm not sure.
Where was the handle of the ball?
I didn't see any handling on the ground. I didn't see it.
Well, that's what the referee was indicating. Oh, maybe there, possibly, but that was
inside
hardly,
the small rectangle.
Yeah, but it was hardly intentional. And anyway, the referee has given it as a 13-metre free, Martin. Bernard Brogan's kicked it over.
Yeah, but a free like that inside the small rectangle, it should be a penalty.
That's right. It happened in the Cork Kerry match.
Right.
Mark O'Shea on that occasion. Referee definitely indicated that the free was given for a ball handled on the ground.
So it's a case of where was it handled? I thought looking at the replay there, it was handled inside the small rectangle.
Referee doesn't have the benefit of that, and the teams are level for the 4th time. We're in the 53rd minute. Brian Sheehan on as far as the substitute Barry John Keane, Darren O'Sullivan, and it runs on beyond the Gooch and Mick Fitzsimons. Who got the last touch there? I think it was Fitzsimons. It's a 45. Oof. Down went Rory O'Carroll this time, and Kieran Donaghy's getting very hot under the collar.
Yeah, just watch the persistence that time by Cooper. Very clever play. Unlucky maybe from Fitzsimon's point of view to actually have 45. Little bit of stupidity that time between Donaghy and Rory O'Carroll. They've been mouthing all at each other all afternoon, and I wouldn't say it's pleasantries they're exchanging.
Yeah. It's going to be a 45, which Brian Sheehan will kick anyway. Teams level, as you can see. Dublin 9, Kerry 1, 6. He's got 2 points so far, one of them from a free. So in the 54th minute, can he edge Kerry in front again? He's given it everything. His technique is brilliant. Wonderful straight line and over the bar.
Well, do you remember last year in the All-Ireland final with Daniel Goulding? He got 3 45s in the second half, and it was the difference between winning and losing the All-Ireland final. Sheehan today has been superb on occasion from long-range kicks.
Billy McMahon, Cian O'Sullivan. Both sides have had their moments in this final, but it's now there to be determined. Back once again to Philly McMahon. Kevin McManaman looking for possession, looking to take off. and he's left it behind. Barry Cowell tries to help him, but Kerry were there in numbers, and Darren O'Sullivan picking it up. Good control, moving it smartly as far as Paul Galvin. They can play it along the line or go forward. They've only got Kieran Donaghy waiting inside. There's a huge gap between the middle third and Donaghy on his own inside in the large square. And Kerry hold it. Dublin have 2 markers against Donaghy. All this while further in towards goal. Barry John Keane. Now Kerry can break. Darren O'Sullivan hauled down, and it's McManaman who's hauled him down, and it's going to be a free kick. And the referee might have a few words with the substitute for Dublin.
That was an unfortunate free kick from a Dublin point of view to concede. Kevin McManaman, noted as a forward, just panics a little bit and takes down Darren O'Sullivan necessarily and gives a good opportunity again to Sheehan to put it over the bar.
Well, obviously tackling not his strong suit, and the referee is going to give him a yellow card. So now we've got 4 yellow cards against Dublin players.
And you remember in the game against Cork last year, David Freeze conceded late in the game when Dublin played Cork, I think, that actually resulted in their ultimate defeat.
That's right, their discipline left them down in the last 10 minutes of that. You're quite right. It'll be Brian Sheehan to kick it, to add to the 3 points he's got so far. Inside the D, straight as a die and up and over. Another one for Kerry. And now they lead by 2, 1-8 to 9 points. There's 14 minutes left. And Dublin went short. The referee was holding up the play. Kieran Donaghy lamenting that his shot isn't going to count. Owen O'Gara's coming on for Dublin, number 20, and going off will be Barry Cahill. That's 3 changes now made by the Dublin management team to try and get the chemistry right in this final phase of the match, to try and engineer the victory. Dublin are 2 behind. Tomas O'Shea again. The lead has changed hands in this match 5 times so far. It's won by Kerry. Keane. In went the boot that time of Michael Darragh Macaulay. That's a free kick against him and against Dublin. And as you were saying, Martin, they've got to be careful now. They're still in there in the hunt for the Sam Maguire Cup in a very meaningful way, but they can't lose their composure.
Well, Kerry haven't been in 8 All-Ireland finals in the last 10 years and not learned something about how to control games when they get a couple of points in front. And just that little bit of inexperience in Dublin's part is manifesting itself now in the way they're conceding unnecessary free kicks within scoring distance, in particular when you have a player of Brian Sheehan's calibre to take long-range kicks.
Dublin hatch plans. Fans pray, lament mistakes, and wonder what's going to happen next. Oh dear. Well, take a look. This is what's going to happen. Brian Sheehan's going to try and kick this one from 50 metres out. It's one of the great assets that Kerry have got, free takers of the calibre of Cooper and Sheehan. And Sheehan with the capacity usually to hit them from a fair old distance out. Start of this championship campaign, Brian Sheehan with a couple of goals against Tipperary and Killarney. Now at the end of the voyage, barring a replay, this to try and put his team 3 ahead. 12 minutes left. Stopped on the line by Cluxton, an important intervention. Back out as far as Kevin Nolan. All blocked. Gooch Cooper got there. Nolan recovers and then has the presence of mind to pick out Philly McMahon. And Dublin set off again. Connolly's come deep inside his own 65-metre line. Work to do from here. Couple of players to aim at. One of them, Kevin McManaman, against Aidan O'Mahony, trying to skin him. Succeeds. Hit poorly with the left, straight to Keeley. Good precise ball out as far as Barry John Keane. And the counter-attack now led by Mark O'Shea, ostensibly the fullback. Nolan tries to stop him, doesn't put pay to his gallop. It's still O'Shea, now Galvin. And once again Declan O'Sullivan played a major role in Kerry's performance this afternoon. Killian Young. Looking for it here is Owen Brosnan, man who missed the final in 09 against Cork. Barry John Keane. Galvin fisting it, but poorly fisting it. He gives the ball away, and that kind of turnover now could lead to a possible Dublin move at the other end. If they can get the ball, they've lost it. Darren O'Sullivan hauled down. Oh dear. Well, that kind of impetuosity is exactly the thing that Pat Gilroy doesn't need at this stage. As you could see there, Cian O'Sullivan diving in on top of the man who blocked a real goal chance by Donaghy in the first half, has given away a free kick here in an eminently scoreable position.
Yeah, I've admired Dublin's tenacity throughout, but tenacity has to be balanced with a huge discipline and a cool head. And, you know, presence of mind is so important between now and the final whistle, in particular when you're in defensive situations and when you are, you know, in a danger of conceding frees within kickable distance. And that time, that was crazy on the part of Cian O'Sullivan.
So, Jack O'Connor with problems to address. He's got to make sure that his team stay focused at this stage, not relax at any stage in the game. Cian O'Sullivan about to be yellow carded, so another one seeing yellow. The major problems, however, are Pat Gill. Free kick coming up this time to be taken by Colm Cooper. A goal and a point already in this match. That's 4 goals he's scored in All-Ireland finals. And now a point to go with that. A goal and 2 for Cooper. And Kerry fans are already contemplating taking the Sam Maguire Cup back home with them to Killarney tomorrow night. Donaghy pulling the jersey of Fitzsimons. Off goes Ger Brennan. Here's Connolly. An attempt to take him down the first time. Declan O'Sullivan after him. Galvin in with the challenge. Ball handled on the ground. And it's a free kick to Kerry.
Dublin are making an awful lot of mistakes at the moment. I think they've expended so much energy in the context of their defensive work that they're now running into a little bit of energy deficit and just conceding frees that they wouldn't have done earlier on in the match.
3-point gap. Again, it's Killian Young. Sheehan takes it down. Swiftly forward there as far as Tomas O'Shea. Sheehan again. Chipping it into space. Keane's there for it. Barry John Keane. Kerry's a rally man. Sets off past Fitzsimons. Where's that going to end up? It's just outside. Close. Not quite close enough, however.
Yeah, it was an ambitious shot by a young lad, but it must be said he was very unlucky that time. It just drifted off at the last minute. I thought he had nailed it.
And Dublin about to make another change. And Eamon Fennell has come into midfield, going off Dennis Bastick. It's a particular Dublin policy to freshen up midfield, but they need a lot of freshening up because Colm Cooper is off. And Cooper steadies himself and knocks it brilliantly over the bar. He's got a goal and 3 now. And Kerry and their fans will feel they're within touching distance of victory in the All-Ireland. 110 to 9 points. Daniel Bohan has come in. As we watch that again, that's a lovely score by Cooper. Bohan is on, number 17 there for Owen Brosnan. So Kerry's turn to freshen up proceedings, and they must be looking confident. Might have had problems earlier on, Jack O'Connor, but right now it's going nicely for them. But a goal for Dublin would unsettle all of that. It's a free kick. Cian O'Sullivan. Under 7 minutes to go. Alan Brogan sent in. McMenamin dodging. McMenamin scoring! There's a point between the teams, and Kevin McMenamin has kicked a beauty and sent Dublin fans into raptures. 64 minutes on the clock. Beautiful pass, wonderful work, precision here by McMenamin. He made a difference in the semi-final, and when he took the pass from Brogan here, he's made a difference in the final itself, rounding Declan O'Sullivan and beating Brendan Keeley 110 to 1-9. It ain't over yet.
Wonderful conviction that time from it must be said from Kevin McMenamin. What a bad mistake further out the field by Declan O'Sullivan, who conceded possession far too easily.
Now who's going to win the All-Ireland? Tom O'Sullivan and Anthony Marr in the end from that pass from O'Sullivan. Down went Michael Dara McCauley, free to Dublin, and now they come looking for the equaliser at the very least. Diarmuid Connolly, 45 minutes out, he's got a loose player on the side. Kevin Nolan hitting one, and it's over! They're level! Kevin Nolan, his first ever point in championship football, has lit up Croke Park, and in the 65th minute, as he kicked it from 35 metres out, straight between the posts, he's made it Dublin 110, Kerry 110, and the teams are level for the 5th time.
Well, you just have to salute the character of the Dublin team. They looked down and out for a couple of moments, but two mistakes, one from two very experienced players, one Declan O'Sullivan, the other Tom O'Sullivan, and gave two opportunities to Dublin, and they took both with aplomb. They're two great scores. Now it's anybody's game.
What a final. Tremendous entertainment provided by Dublin and Kerry, and this goal again has Croke Park humming. Wonderful score. And now it's turn to try and come and reclaim the lead. Declan O'Sullivan trying to go by, stopped. Referee says play on. He does. Alan Brogan's after him. Still Declan O'Sullivan, back as far as Killian Young. Further back to Tom O'Sullivan. Kerry would have felt that they almost had this match won. They were 4 points ahead. 7 minutes to go. Now back at level pegging. They've got a free kick. Owen O'Gara committed the foul on Anthony Marr. Paul Galvin with ball in hand. Now will they kick it long? Will they try and somehow create a scoring opportunity nearer to goal? Galvin the architect. Oh, it's beautifully done by Barry John Keane. Used his body to shield the ball from the opponent, and Kerry have it. Tomas O'Shea slipped in as far as Darren O'Sullivan. Hasn't scored, but my goodness, how he's played. Barry John Keane giving it back to Darren. It's further back as far as Galvin. Tomas O'Shea, second shaved off the clock, 4 minutes left. Huge ball outside towards Killian Young, back again towards Cooper, the captain, trying to take on Fitzsimons. Down he went, referee doesn't whistle, it's still Cooper, challenged this time by Alan Brogan. Back further towards Anthony Marr, teams level, inside it goes towards Barry John Keane, trying to slip inside his marker, falling down. Connolly's after him, lost discipline, ball turned over, given as far as Kevin McMenamin, and McMenamin 45 minutes from his own goal, back towards Ger Brennan, and now Dublin's turn to hold possession and try to steal that ball forward. McMenamin again, cagily forward, Sheehan's after him, on it goes towards Owen O'Gara, drops it, slipped back inside again towards the captain Brian Cullen, forward once again beyond Bernard Brogan. Goalkeepers come out, Keeley opting to kick it forward, and they try to keep it in play over there, don't succeed in spite of the best attempts over there of Killian Young, the 24-year-old from Renard. 68 minutes on the clock. Diarmuid Connolly, it's going to be a late winner if there's going to be a winner today. Connolly advancing for Dublin. Hill roaring him on, still Connolly, dished into Michael Darrow McCauley, very awkward angle, holding, trying to make a better angle, comes back towards Bernard Brogan, he's nailed it! What a kick by Bernard Brogan! Sixth of the match, what a time to go into the lead, look at the clock, 69 minutes are gone, it's Dublin 111, Kerry 110, kick-outs taken quickly, Dublin with it again, Kevin Nolan, back as far as Kevin McMenamin, McMenamin holding, it's a time for cool hearts and cool nerves at this stage, Dublin by one, McMenamin again, what a game he's played since being introduced. Alan Brogan back to Nolan, he scored one, lays one off to Darren McCauley this time, going for another one, it's high, it's up there, and the umpire said no, wide.
Well, that was a wonderful opportunity to put two between them just coming into the last minute, but Dublin have really got so much energy, so much over the last couple of moments from those couple of scores, and looked the more likely team at this stage.
Killian Young kicking it across to Mark O'Shea. Now there's a lot of ground to make up to get it towards the Dublin goal, and Kerry are coming looking for the equaliser. Tomas O'Shea, Paul Galvin. Kerry still look menacing. Brian Sheehan swiftly out there. On towards the substitute Daniel Bohan. To Donaghy, high up into the clouds. Gooch is in there. Doesn't need the Gooch, it's gone over. It's a remarkable point by Kieran Donaghy. He's kicked his second, he's kicked the team's level. Are we heading for a replay for the first time in 11 years? 2 minutes of additional time to be played. 111 to 111.
Well, you have to credit Kieran Donaghy that time. Talk about courage, talk about bravery and character to take on that shot, never mind score it. Fair dues to him.
If there's a replay, it'll be in 2 weeks' time, we believe. It's 111 to 111. Oh, Ger Brennan was given a free kick, and he's now knocked Donaghy out of the way, and the free kick is going to be cancelled. And that kind of silliness will annoy Pat Gilroy and the management team, and correctly so. 15 seconds nearly into stoppage time at the beginning of 2 minutes of it, and the game there to be won.
Well, that's stupid, it must be said, to lose the opportunity of going up and winning, getting the winning score.
Back come Dublin again. Alan Brogan, McMenamin. Is there a winner? Who's going to get it? Will it be today? On as far as Connolly, stopped in his tracks by Aidan O'Mahony. Still Diarmuid Connolly. Kerry back defending, McMenamin attacking, and he's tripped, and it's a free-in. A free kick to win the All-Ireland. And they're going to bring up their goalkeeper, Stephen Cloxton, to see if he can put this one over the bar and win the title for Dublin for the first time since 1995. What drama in Croke Park.
Well, it's extraordinary in our scene set beforehand. I talked about Stephen Cloxton, talked about his importance to the Dublin team, and talked about his ability to accurately kick frees from distance. Now he has the most important kick of his career for Dublin, for the supporters. Let's see, can he hold his nerve?
Stephen Cloxton, the fans trying to hold their nerves in his 55th championship match. 15 points in his career so far. He's already got one today. The distance with the angle about 45 metres. Here he comes to win the All-Ireland. Cloxton, he's put it over the bar, and Dublin are in front by 112 to 111. Cloxton the hero, and the 2 minutes of added time has been played, and we now wait for the referee's whistle. Referee looks at his watch. Kerry, it's all over. Dublin have won the All-Ireland. The most dramatic, the most wonderful of finishes. Kerry beaten, Dublin triumph. What a triumph. It's Stephen Cloxton who's done it, as Dublin end a long barren spell of some 16 years and a first win in the final since 1995. They all go to Pat Gilroy. Sheer disappointment for all of the Kerry players, but the Sam Maguire Cup will be staying in the capital at least for the next 12 months. It's been an outstanding victory for Pat Gilroy and his squad as Dublin beat Kerry in an All-Ireland final for the first time in 35 years. They all want to share in it. Eamon Fennell and the rest of the players who contributed throughout the season. You think back to 2 years ago, think back to the August Bank Holiday Monday. It was the quarter-final of the championship, and Dublin were fantastic win after retaining the Leinster title, and all those Dublin fans came to Croke Park and they were crushed, they were humbled in Pat Gilroy's first year as manager. Remember that? Crushed by Kerry to the tune of 17 points. Gilroy talked about callow youths resembling startled earwigs. Well, they have been transformed. He's done the transforming, and he's transformed them into champions. John Costello, the CEO of Dublin, the fans on the hill celebrating because Dublin are winners. Winners at last. Winners of the All-Ireland of 2011, and the number 13 on the back of the captain for Kerry proves once again to be too much. It's something of a hoodoo. Sam Maguire is staying in the capital, Martin.
Yes, and once again it just shows that raw belief, sheer belief can beat experience on any day, and you've got to take your hats off to Mickey Whelan, Pat Gilroy and David Hickey for the belief that they infuse in these players. It's been a long 16 years, but it's been a vindication of their management style. They look for players who are honest, who were hard-working, and their displays have been underpinned by a realism where that style that their forwards had in the past certainly could stay there, but it had to be combined with a hard-nosed defensive system that could complement that player and imagination. Today they took the opportunities at the end when Kerry presented them to them. They identified areas of weakness on the Kerry team and they picked players to do the job, and they executed their game plan to perfection. The Hill has heroes once again, and congratulations to Dublin.
Well, Kerry did not score since the 63rd minute, and Dublin fans just celebrating again and again and again, and fans all over the world will celebrate this. Diarmuid O'Ling, for instance, is watching in Perth. He's a Dublin fan. Bet he's enjoying himself right now. And Ciara and Michael, who are watching this match in Missouri and Miami. They're Ciara and Michael Stack. And there's Michael Kenny in Chicago as well watching. Broken-hearted Dublin fans. Well, wherever you are watching all around the world, whether it's in New Zealand at the World Cup, whether it's anywhere around the globe, I hope you've enjoyed the drama, because what a final it has turned out to be.
Yes, and the prestige and the currency that goes with beating Kerry is the greatest I think that Dublin could have had.
Final score at Croke, the All-Ireland final, Dublin 1-12, Kerry 1-11.
Your commentators today, Ger Canning and Martin Carney, Colin O'Rourke, Pat Spillane and Joe Brolly here with me in studio. Colin O'Rourke, that was as dramatic an All-Ireland final as I've seen.
Yes, that was drama heaped upon drama. It was the most amazing game, and Dublin have won, but Kerry will ask themselves how they lost. They had the game under control with 15 minutes to go, 4 points up,
7 minutes to go.
Controlling the whole midfield play, controlling the flow of the game, and then Kevin McManaman, who came on and more or less won the game for Dublin against Donegal, he's done so again. He lifted them, and of course in many ways was fitting that Cluxton would kick the winning point, because against Donegal when Dublin were struggling, he worked the oracle again. But it was a brilliant game, and of course Pat would be disappointed, Kerry would be disappointed, but it's a fantastic result.
Let's go down to Marty Morrissey.
Can you believe you've won an All-Ireland medal, that Dublin have won the All-Ireland?
Oh my God, I don't know what's going on. This is in dreamland. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I can't believe this is happening. I watched this on the telly that I'm 16 years ago. I can't believe I'm on the pitch to be a part of it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Did you always believe?
I mean, there's unbelievable belief in that dressing room. Every single player. We knew when we were a few points down. Everyone has their heart in this team. We've come back again and again and again, and we're going to do it again. It's brilliant.
I know you're a great club man, Michael Jarrah, but to be here in the middle of Croke Park, winning your first All-Ireland medal, beating Kerry as well, the mighty kingdom.
Yes, it's perfect. It's perfect. What can I say? It's a perfect day.
It is a perfect day. Well done, Michael Jarrah Macaulay.
And that club that Michael Jarrah is a member of course, is Ballyboden St Enda's. They're cheering out there this evening. They're cheering all around Dublin. And I'm sure Dubs all over the globe who are watching this. Pat Spillane, first of all, commiserations to Kerry. I know your heart was in your mouth there for the last few minutes. It could have swung either way in the end.
It could have. And look, compliments to Dublin. I deserved All-Ireland victors. It was a great match. It was, like I said, it was full of drama, full of entertainment, intensity, full of action, full of talking points. It will be remembered for all the right reasons. Gaelic football at its best, and Dublin deserve to win because for all the characteristics we've been talking about them all this year, character, composure, belief, leadership, all qualities that previous Dublin teams never had. They had it in abundance. 7 points, 7 minutes to go, 4 points down against one of the best teams of all time, and they still had the character and belief to keep going. Kerry will be disappointed, but this Kerry team, Michael, their supporters owe us nothing at all. They've been great ambassadors for the game.
Let's go on to the presentation.
Yeah, the presentation just about to be made now, and Pat Gilroy, he's dedicated himself for the last 3 years for this particular task. He deserves enormous credit for what he's achieved. Mossy Quinn there, one of the players who's starred throughout the championship, one of the great players to have in reserve, as Uachtaráin Cumann Luke Rascale, Christy Cooney just gets ready to hand over the most famous trophy in Irish sport.
Now it gives me great pleasure to present to outstanding captain, Brian Cullen.
Christy Cooney hands over Sam Maguire. It's going to Dublin. It's going to Brian Cullen, because Dublin are the All-Ireland champions for the 23rd time. They are the top team, the best team in Ireland in 2011. And how much this is going to mean to Dublin fans all over the capital. It's a huge boost for football. Wonderful celebrations, and they had to beat the mighty Kerry to do it in the final, and that makes it even better. What a day, what an occasion.
Uachtaráin na hÉireann, Uachtaráin Cumann Luke Rascale, a gwine ús mincher bailach lea. Tá ná sir man curn seo glacha son fair bailach lea. Don Cader and EJ Nogacuig, the Sam Maguire chapter as bailach lea. I want to start by thanking these lads beside me. What a bunch of players. You've no idea how far we've gone for each other this year. What we've been through. The training, the hard work. Lads, it's all worth it today. I want to thank everyone connected with these bunch of lads. The clubs, their families, their girlfriends. We've been to hell and back over the last few years, and they've supported us every bit of the way. Thanks very much. I want to mention our management team. When they first took over, they had an unbelievable task on their hands, turning things around and getting us to where we are today. We've been fortunate enough to work with some unbelievable people. Pat Gilroy, David Wickie, Mickey Whelan, Paddy O'Donoghue, and everyone attached to the squad. Unbelievable men who've not only lifted this as a player, but they're joining an elite group of players that have done our players and management. And on behalf of all the lads, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the efforts you have put in. Thanks very much. Lastly, I want to give a mention to Kerry. Lads, you've been an unbelievable force for the best part of a decade. You've been the team to beat as long as I've been watching the game. You're a fabulous outfit. You're there year in, year out, and you're always the team to beat. And I've no doubt next year you'll be the team to beat. I'd like 3 cheers for Kerry. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. See you on the Coppers. Yeah! Get up there, lads. Get up there.
Forevermore.
And so Brian Cullen, on behalf of Dublin and Skerry's Harps, takes away the Sam Maguire Cup from Croke Park for what is going to be, well, a day, 2 days, 10 days, a year celebration maybe for Dublin football. We saw Mickey Whelan down there as one of the backroom team with Pat Gilroy, and Colin has just been reminding me Mickey won his medal with Dublin in 1963, the All-Ireland final against Galway. It's been a long odyssey to 2011 to be involved with Dublin again. Joe Brawley, your summation of that final.
Well, Terry Jennings will be smiling down today. The lucky cufflinks. It was an extraordinary finale. I thought that, Kerry looked to be lording it. 7 minutes to go. Brian Sheehan had grown in stature. Starr had grown in stature. And, McMenamin scored his goal, and thereafter it was for either team, and Dublin simply were better in that final phase. A brilliant point from Nolan, which was a real signal of intent, I thought. A young man taking the initiative to go up and stick a ball over the bar. Then a brilliant point from Brogan, who I thought was excellent throughout, even though he was terribly well marked. All his wee touches and his passes and everything that he did. Starr's great point, and then the fitting finale, But the most important thing about that final score was that Dublin won the dog fight for that final kick-out, and they hadn't won a kick-out. I mean, they were dismantled on kick-outs throughout the second half. Kerry held possession and were lording it, but they won the dog fight for that kick-out. And you knew somehow when he stepped up he was going to score it. A glorious finale to a great All-Ireland.
Another dub. Phil Linnett is blasting out over the public address here at Croke Park. Tin Lizzie, the boys are back in town. Phil's statue is down just off Grafton Street, Colin, there. Stephen Cluxton's might be alongside it next week.
Absolutely, and would be very deserving of it too, and a lot of other Dublin players, because it was tough in Dublin. They have been humiliated here in Croke Park on several occasions. A lot of these players over the last 5 years. Stephen Cluxton had to pick the ball out of the net a good few times over his career, and had to go off with his tail between his legs. So every player deserves their day of redemption if they're willing to stick at it, and Dublin had to really stick at it. And the breaks went their way, because second half I thought Kerry were the better team, but I said before the game, every team and every player has to turn the page of history in their own interest. And in fairness to Dublin, they stuck at it and stuck at it. There was never a chance that they were going to be beaten easily in the game today, but they looked as if with 10 minutes to go they were teetering on the brink. Kerry seemed to have the best footballers, but heart is something you can't put into a man, and Kevin McManaman to come on and really turn the game.
And don't forget also, Colin, that Cluxton caught a kick-out that was over the bar, or he caught a free that was over the bar at a crucial time in the game.
But the key to success in sport is to learn from the failures of the past. I mean, a lot of those players were the Starkton Lear Whigs of a couple of years ago, who we humiliated by 17 points for Kerry. A lot of these players blew an All-Ireland semi-final last year, blew a league final, but they came back, they learned from those mistakes, they got their defence right, and what they have is, like I said, they have great resolve, they're great honest-to-goodness work, and their fitness, Michael, their fitness is absolutely phenomenal. I have never seen a Gaelic football team with such a level of fitness as the Dublin Dubs exhibited all year long. So those early morning trainings, I suppose, was it 6 a.m. in January and February. The only part about it now is that every club and county manager will be doing the same for next year, so there's bad omens ahead.
That's the great myth of it anyway. The truth of it is the same. I'm not quite sure. I have to say, just looking down here, the security down on Hill 16 must be brilliant, because they haven't managed to breach it and get on the field.
But in a way it's great that the players are able to go over to the hill and enjoy,
as they're doing now,
enjoy their moment in front of the hill without being leapt and slapped upon by everybody else. So Joe doesn't like it. I think that there's a lot to be said for allowing players the time and space to enjoy these great moments,
but
unique moments.
You know what's important now, Michael, for the GA, both in Dublin and the GA nationally, to capitalise on the popularity and on the hype and on the euphoria that's surrounding these Dublin players. I mean, we, sadly in Ireland, too many of our role models for our young lads are from other sports. We have an opportunity. We have some fantastic role models there. These guys should be to the forefront of campaigns to promote Gaelic football, not alone in Dublin but throughout Ireland.
Again, I come back to this point that through all the communities in Ireland, through all the clubs, and we're all involved. The great role models, the great county players now, they're all taking the club teams, they're taking the club underage teams. We have no difficulty with role models in the GAA, Pat. We don't have any difficulty with it.
You're still missing my point. There's over 1 million people here in Dublin. A lot of people have no interest in GAA, no knowledge of GAA. Now is the chance to capitalise on that, because media hype is what excites youngsters, and it's where the youngsters get their role models.
Yeah, I just come back to
we leave soccer and rugby to take care of themselves.
We're unique. There won't be any problem with media hype for the Dubs the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely not, and they deserve everything they get out of this. But I can't help but think, when I look at, say, the Leinster Championship next year, I of what Yates said, sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for in life, and I was hoping Dublin would win, but this is a young team. They could come on and